the threat of criminal penalties for doctors and healthcare providers. Just last week it was reported that a 10-year-old girl was a rape victim in Ohio. 10 years old. And she was forced to have to travel out of the state to Indiana to seek to terminate the presidency and maybe save her life. That's last part is my judgment. 10 years old. 10 years old. Raped, 6 weeks pregnant. Already traumatized. Was forced to travel to another state. Imagine being that little girl. I'm serious. Just imagine being that little girl. 10 years old.
Welcome to the island. I am your host, Alvis Samuel, and who you just heard speaking, that was the president of the United States, Joe Biden. It was him who said this speech last year of the summer of 2022. We are now in 2023, almost done with the year of 2023. And I remember doing a podcast specifically on exactly what he just said there. So why am I bringing this up again? Because it cannot be said enough. And now there's a little bit of rolling going on. There's a little bit of rolling going on with this subject, and it's starting to pick up steam. And I'm trying to get everybody to understand how high this goes. And it goes very high. Again, I am your host, Alvis Samuel, and you are listening to the Island Podcast. Now, how high does this go? This subject that I haven't even named yet. It goes as high as the president. So why do I say that? Well, let me first tell you what this subject is. No, it has nothing to do with abortion. It has nothing to do with abortion. Because at that time, I asked the question, especially when the president came out and gave this story. I asked the question, where is the person who raped this little girl? Where are they? What have you done with them? You're going after doctors talking about abortion and criminal activity, but yet the rapist is still on the loose. And then people started talking about other stuff because the story came out that the person that did this horrific act to this 10-year-old little girl was supposedly a family member of hers. And then it comes out that it wasn't even a family member. It was a sponsor who claimed to be her uncle, but this little girl was an illegal alien. She was an illegal immigrant who came across the border, the Mexico border, into the United States and wound up all the way up close to the United States northern border with Canada. This little girl who's 10 years old came across the Mexico border into the United States and gets very close to Canada. Still in the United States though. And then the whole story was she was 10 years old and she was pregnant and she needed to get an abortion. And I said, hold on there when this story came out a year ago. 1 year ago, I said, hold on. How did a 10-year-old little girl get pregnant? Who impregnated this 10-year-old little girl? But no one wanted to talk about that. Everybody wanted to talk about, oh, she had to go across state lines for an abortion. That wasn't the story. And I remember saying a year ago, the story has nothing to do with abortion. The story has everything to do with this rapist who was supposedly her uncle, winds up to being just a sponsor of this child, who was able to get control of this child because he was a sponsor, and started doing horrendous acts to this little girl. That is the story. And then the other part to this story is, how did the president of the United States of America, Joe Biden himself, know about this? He knew about this little girl. He knew she was pregnant. He knew she had to go over state lines. He knew she was being raped, but did not want to talk about the rapist. He wanted to talk about the doctors having to give this little girl abortion and going over state lines. And I said it then, and I keep bringing this subject up now because it's starting to get some steam amongst the major mainstream people. I've been talking about this for a while now, over a year, if you haven't been paying attention. And on top of it, I went after specific people in the Christian church they were saying that when the overturn of Roe v. Wade, when that happened, that's a victory. And I was like, that's not a victory. That's not where you're supposed to be. There is something more sinister going on here, and you're celebrating something that was actually a spotlight. God was using this as a spotlight to shine a light on something more sinister because it was so behind so many doors. And then, you have this movie, The Sound of Freedom. I'm pretty sure it was a wonderful movie. I still haven't seen it. But it's a great movie. It makes you mad, sad, goes through all your emotions. And I went off on certain people and saying, look, this is like, why are you doing this now? I've been talking about this for over a year. And now you so-called prophets and preachers and whoever you television Christians want to jump on the bandwagon. So I'm bringing this subject up again. And now I'm going to tell you what this name of this subject of this episode is. The United States. And yes, I'm going to go out there just like I went out there before everyone started talking about it, before there was even proof. And I said, you will find the proof. I said it, you will find the proof. And this was when I was talking about Joe Biden. He should be tried for treason. He's a traitor of the United States of America. He is a traitor. I said this years ago. The proof was there. Talking about the money and all the money laundering and the bribes coming in and all that stuff. Now people want to start talking about it like this is something new. No, it's nothing new. He's been doing it for years, if not decades. And now I'm bringing something else, and I've been saying this now for over a year. I've said it. I've been trying to throw little nuggets out there for people. Y'all still haven't caught on. Yes, Joe Biden is part of this. Joe Biden is probably the top guy in all of this human trafficking that's going on all over the United States of America. I find it odd. I find it very odd with the fires that recently happened in Maui, and I pray that they get all the help that they need, that thousands of children just disappeared. They have no clue where they were. They don't know. Did they get burned? They don't know. They don't know. Thousands of children have disappeared off of the island of Hawaii. The number I saw was almost close to 2,000. Almost 2,000 children disappeared, gone. But it had nothing to do with the fires. And now we're finding out that there's more children, that there's these old Walmart stores that have now been transformed, especially down in Brownsville, into hubs and stuff to hold children. And these children are also being moved all across the United States under the guidance of Joe Biden, giving out contracts to non-government entities, organizations, to move these children all around the United States to these so-called sponsors. This is what's going on under this man's watch, under this guy's watch. This president of the United States, corrupted to the core. I've said it, to the core. And I'm bringing another indictment onto him again that nobody wants to talk about. Just like for years, nobody wanted to talk about, outside of myself, wanted to talk about he's riddled, he's filled with bribes. And I'm saying this again now, said it for a whole year. This guy is pure evil. It goes all the way to the top. He is the top guy in all of this. And he wants it to happen all around the United States. Why, oh why, does he want to indoctrinate children on sexual identities and stuff of that nature. He doesn't care how young they are, but he wants them indoctrinated, however you say that word. He wants them to learn this stuff. He wants children to be more individuals. He wants them to think for themselves, and there's nothing wrong with children thinking for themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. However, when you start pushing it towards a sexual agenda, then there's a problem here. But no one wants to talk about it. I will. I will talk about it. I will throw it out there. I've said this for a long time now. Like I said, this is a bad deal. And maybe it will get rolling even more. And more and more and more, the truth will come out. Eventually, the people of the United States are going to have to make a choice. Keep this person who is embedded in all of this, who has his tentacles in all of it, that's Joe Biden himself, who is corrupt. He's a traitor. He will find children and he will sell them, and then he will say the great evil of it is not that these kids were raped. The great evil is that they weren't able to get an abortion. That was the great evil of all of this. Why would you say that? Unless you are just evil. I don't think people are truly grasping what is actually going on inside the United States. Taking foreign children who are seeking asylum, parents are trying to give them a better life from other countries, and then we have a government they are kidnapping children, abducting children, moving them all across the United States, and letting them be raped, put into sex trafficking, and whatever else God knows. We all hear of the stories of little people, little children, just people. Their limbs are being chopped off so they can be sold on the black market. So there's body parts being sold on the black market. We hear these disgusting stories. We've came across them. I know a lot of people have, because most people in the United States, they spend basically their entire time all day long on the internet. So I know you've came across some of these stories, but yet you turned a blind eye to it. Or you said, oh, this is so sad and tragic. You might have said a little prayer, maybe, but then you moved on. It's coming to a head, and it's going to be so tragic and so transforming of a country that you're not going to be able to stay on the sidelines anymore. I'm telling you that now. You're either going to have to get in and say enough is enough, or you're going to be a part of it. The bad side, that is. And it strikes something. Like I said, the last time I spoke anything close to this was with that the so-called prophet guy, Hank Kuhneman, who was so moved, he said, by God. But when you hear him talk, it wasn't God who moved him. It was a movie who moved him. A movie, not God. He was emotional. He got emotional. He got emotional over a movie. That's what moved him, his emotions. And now, more and more and more and more, it's coming out that it's the United States of America who has a massive hand in all of this. And I am telling you now, the biggest one in all of it is the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden himself. He is by far one of the biggest, filthiest, dirtiest, disgusting humans who has a part in this. It's going to come to a head, and you're going to have to face this. Somebody, maybe it might have to be me, myself, I don't know, but somebody is going to have to stand up and show the entire world, at least the people of the United States, the citizens of the United States. We have to show what's truly going on down in the border of the United States, where Mexico meets the United States. What is going on down there? No one wants to talk about it. No one wants to even sniff or smell anything about it. You got all these states, all these other states getting mad at Texas. And I can say this, it It honestly could be the Texas governor could be part of it also. I don't know who's all part of it, because I do know the Texas governor is just shipping immigrants everywhere, all throughout the United States. He's putting them everywhere. But is he putting them everywhere to get everyone's attention, or is he putting them everywhere to help these people, these disgusting people out, to move them all across the United States? Why is he moving them around? Now, I know a lot of people say it's because there's a lot going on and he's trying to bring attention to what is going on down at the border. And I hope that's what he is actually doing. And if he is, okay. But if that's not the real reason why he's moving people around, then there's a problem. All these governors of all these states are getting mad, especially the one in New York. Mayors and governors of different cities and states are getting angry. They're sending this stuff here. But you weren't getting angry when they were piling up in one spot on the border, saying it needs to be fixed there. We need to send resources there to fix it. No, you want to keep your resources and point the finger. So that makes me think that even you are part of it. You see, we the people of the United States of America, we have a problem. The problem that we have is a sexual immoral problem. And it's all coming out, and the entire world sees it. All the way to the top of this nation. And it's starting to affect the children of the nation. And now it's affecting immigrants who are trying to come into this nation. I get people do not want to talk about this because it makes them feel bad. It makes them feel whatever. Angry, sad. It just makes them, it brings out an actual emotion, and it wants you to do something about it if you're not a part of the problem. But people don't want to talk about this. It's a taboo subject. But here on the Island Podcast, that is exactly what we do. We talk about these type of things. That is why all of this is going on. We have a massive problem inside the United States of America. And we are trying to spread it all across the globe. All across the globe. Let's go ahead and go all the way to this war going on in Ukraine. It's basically World War III going on over there right now. That's where it's all starting, and it's all popping off over there. But how does this immoral stuff wind up over there? Because our president of the United States has been giving billions of dollars to Ukraine. You can look this stuff up for yourselves, and I hope you do. But he has been giving billions of dollars to Ukraine. We all know this part, that we all know that part. But did you know that millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of those billions of dollars are being used to pay for prostitutes for the Ukrainian military, all the ones who are in the hospital, and they're worried that they're not going to be able to, have some sort of sexual drive or anything. So they're buying prostitutes and sending them to these hospitals to where these military men who are injured, and they're saying they're trying to bring their hopes up to make them happy with sex, with prostitution. That was their solution. That's what they're using that's what they're using some of this money for prostitutes. Where are these prostitutes coming from? You guessed it. Ding, 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 you got it. If you guessed it right. Sex trafficking. They're yanking females off the streets in Ukraine and other countries, sending them to Ukraine to where these injured military men are, and they're saying, here's some money, go have sex with these people. Make them happy. Whatever they want, you do it. So yes, the United States is going all around the world, spreading immoral sexual acts all around the globe, not to mention homosexuality, that they're trying to completely push as much as they can. They talked about it a little bit, but not a lot. They kind of did a little pinch of it, but it's a massive push that they're trying to do on the entire continent of Africa. Spread immoral sexuality all across the globe. It doesn't just deal with homosexuality. There's prostitution going on in Europe that has the United States paying money for, sex trafficking of abducting children inside the United States. Oh, but put the focus on if these little kids get pregnant at the age of 10 or whatever, we want to make sure no one knows about it. So make sure they get their abortions so they can keep doing what this government wants them to do. By the way, I haven't said that phrase in a while, but by the way, the big guy, that's Joe Biden, he himself is a part of it. And oh, by the way, he takes in bribes. He's a traitor. He doesn't care about the people of the United States. He doesn't care about the citizens of his own country. But everybody keep the focus on Trump and his now fifth indictment, something like that. Fifth. I'm pretty sure they'll probably get it all the way up to 8 before it's all said and done. But my mind is completely blown. That little old me can find out all of this information. It's all facts. It's all true. It's all there so you can find out what's truly going on. But everybody wants to be blinded. Sell me a movie. I want to go to Burning Man. Let's burn a couple of statues. Let's build these gigantic, magnificent statues and light them on fire. Oh my goodness. 70,000 people are trapped in the desert because they decided to go out there. Oh, put all the focus on that. Not realizing that there's more than, I believe, 3 statues that they actually burn out there? The main one is the burning of the man statue. You can find out what all it means. I'm going to tell you what it all means. Burning of the man. What do you think the man is? The establishment. I know a lot of people can go along with that. But then there's another thing that they also burn. They burn the chapel. It's called the Chapel of Bel. Is it Bel? No, I'm sorry. It's called the Chapel of Babel. There we go. The Chapel of Babel. That's the second one that they burn. And then the third one that they burn, it's just called the temple. So put all 3 of them together. If you know what you're talking about, not just talking about, if you know what all of this means, then you know what they're actually doing. I've just said the establishment, the United States itself, that foundation of the United States, bring it down to its knees, burn it all. Then the chapel at Babel. If you've read anything about Babel in the Bible, that's where God came down and said, everyone will now speak different languages because y'all are all coming together to do a great evil. And so the Burning Man festivities, they want to burn that down because they want everyone to come together. There's nothing wrong with coming together. But they want everyone to come together in the name of Babel, of the great evil that God said do not do. And then the third one is, it's just called the burning of the temple. They burn the temple. What does the temple represent? Religion. In this case, they'll say it's all types of religion. It's just religious establishments. We just want to burn it all to the ground. The whole purpose of Burning Man is self-indulgence. Live life, live your life, not just life, but your life to what you seem fit. Indulge in yourself. Indulge in what makes you feel good. And burn down all of the things that keep you in a box, basically. Basically, that keeps you from doing evil things. Burn it all down. That's what it represents. And what goes on at these Burning Man things inside these domes and outside and in people's sense, it's just a massive orgy that goes on with different groups and different types of people. And that's just what goes on. And they have music and festivals and all, that's what goes on during this whole ordeal. And it's all okay. Hence why it's in Nevada, because you can also, if I'm not mistaken, in Nevada, prostitution in a certain area, it's legal. Sexual immorality. And then a massive rain came. That is the problem inside the United States. Sexual immorality. And instead of these television Christians, the popular ones, speaking out against it, they want to say bring Trump back in. For what? To become a dictator? I'm just letting you know what will happen. They're building his popularity right now. I'm not even talking about the television Christian people. I'm talking about the media in its totality. All they want to do is talk about this man, good or bad. And if you know anything about press, bad press is still good press. They just want you to keep talking about it. So the problem in the United States is sexual immorality, lawlessness, the loose of morals in every state, every providence. And this is the legacy that the United States of America wants to spread all around the entire world. Not the legacy of freedom, the pursuit thereof, but the legacy of sexual immorality in the disguise of human rights. I had this dream a couple of days ago. It was a dream that dealt with the sun. And in this dream, we all know it's you want to take a chance looking at the sun, you're taking a chance of going blind. But in this dream, the sun was bright, but as time went on, the sun started to lose its light, little by little. And eventually, you could look up at the sun and it no longer hurts your eyes. It still had a little shine to it to give a little bit of light, but it was dimming every second. It started to lose. It was losing its light. See, even to the point to where you can see intricate designs in the sun. You could see the flares coming off of the sun, and it did not hurt your eyes anymore. Eventually, the sun started to change its color. Instead of this bright light, it started to lose its color, and it started to become this dark orange, turning into a dark red, blood red. The sun, not the moon, the sun. And eventually, the sun started turning into a stone. Still had a little bit of light, but not a lot. And the stone was getting harder and harder and cracking. That was the dream that I had. Now, again, I do tell dreams on this podcast, but this one, I had it a couple of days ago, and it kind of stuck with me. And the light that the United States of America has always had has always been bright, and it lit up the whole world. But the light of the United States is dimming. It's dimming to the point to where people are starting to see the cracks inside the United States of America. And eventually, it's going to be nothing but a hard rock, and not a rock where you're like, oh, I'm standing on a rock and it's solid. No. This rock has cracks all up in it. Just a wind will blow. A wind will blow, and this rock will be pushed by the wind and be pushed away like dust is in the wind. When you pick up when you pick up sand and throw it in the wind, and the wind takes it and moves it and spreads all the little particles of the sand all throughout, the United States will become that. The light is dimming. And it's because of sexual immorality. We need to get right before the light is completely gone and God sends the wind to just blow it off the face of the map, to blow it off the face of the earth. We need to get right. Not just right with ourselves and face the truth, but we need to get right with God and repent of these sins that God has said throughout time. It is an abomination to him, and he will destroy it by fire. We need to get right. Thank you for listening to The Island Podcast. I am your host, Alvis Samuel. Go ahead and go to A3S2 The Island. Again, that's A3S2 The Island on Rumble, and there you can see my awesome face. You can also find me at as The Island on Twitter. That is AS The Island on Twitter. And you'll see a lot of stories and everything. Contact me. Go ahead and communicate with me. Let's have a nice conversation there. I do answer back. And if you want to catch up on every previous episode, just go to rss.com/podcast/The Island. Again, that's rss.com/podcast/The Island. And you can catch up on every episode that I've done. Again, I am your host, Alvis Samuel, and thank you for listening to The Island Podcast.